Everybody, it's your man Dame D NYDC. It's Tuesday night. You know what we do on Tuesdays, man. We like to go live here on Two Mics Up. And this is where the conversation is real, the perspective is earned, and the stories hit a little bit different. And I think we're going to go ahead and hit on some perspectives that are a little bit different with tonight's guest. And I'm really excited about this. We were talking back screen, backstage, and I'm coming up, just celebrated my 26-year anniversary. And this film seems to come at a time where it leans into conversations that are really real to a lot of people, especially in our community, the Black community. And I think it's going to be a very powerful discussion, as we learn more about tonight's guest. We're going to learn more about the film itself. And I'm just really excited because this film is going to premiere this Friday, May 8th, on Apple TV and Prime Video. And it's really about what the title is, The Strength of Love. I can't say it. Just sometimes, just even saying it now, just makes my head stand up because that's a powerful word. For someone like me, you've been with someone for 30 plus years, ups, downs, good, bad, ugly, and indifferent. But it's about how you find a way to make it work. And this highly anticipated feature film, produced by the Baz Brothers and Baz Brothers Production, starring Sean Anthony Baker, who's been really building serious momentum, y'all. He's been in things like Swagger to the Lincoln Lawyer. His brother's really starting to carve a lane for himself. I'm excited to have him join us. And what can I say by the super talented Meelah Williams, making her powerful transition from music, with the hit group Motown's own 702 to stage plays and now to the big screen. I mean, what more can you ask for when you bring talent and real life emotion together in a way like this that I think it really is going to hit home? So, ladies and gentlemen, I see some of you coming in. Please make sure you let us know where you're joining us from in the comments. And before I actually bring tonight's talented guest to the stage, I want to go ahead and just share something with you as we dive into tonight's super enormous, super duper real conversation. So don't go anywhere. Check out this clip. Nope. And all right. So the gremlins are working tonight. That was not the clip,
That was
but
not.
here we are. That was not the clip, but we're going to go ahead and move on
That's okay.
with that. It is okay because tonight's talented guest, ladies and gentlemen, Sean Anthony Baker and the incredibly talented Meelah Williams. Hello, guys. How are you doing this evening?
Hi, wonderful.
Hey, well,
Doing
absolutely
great.
well.
Thank you. How about
Listen,
yourself?
I'm good. I'm blessed. I want to start at the beginning with both of you because some people, may or may not be familiar with who you are. So I want to allow you just to take a moment to go ahead and just introduce yourself. Give us a little background about, who you are, where you're from, and what you've been doing up until this project, if you will. And Sean, no disrespect. I always have to start with our queens. We
Oh,
got to go ahead. We got to let Mila go ahead and start us off.
absolutely. I wasn't going anyway. So please, by
Well,
all means.
thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate that. So my name is Meelah Williams. Most of you guys may be familiar with me as the lead singer of the group 702, and I am still with 702. We are still traveling. We are still active. Praise the Lord, and touring and working as singers, as artists, all these years later, as legacy artists. We're actually celebrating our 30-year anniversary this year. So
Oh
I am
wow.
grateful for that. And yeah, so most notably, you know me as Meelah from 702. And so I've been working mostly in music, solo music as well. But thankfully, I've had the opportunity to transition into acting, which I've always wanted to do as well. And I'm so grateful that this is my first feature film, The Strength of Love, which was a stage play. Now it's on screen, and I'm super excited to be working alongside the incredible Sean Anthony Baker.
Look at that. Look at that. I love that. Sean,
Yes.
please. I don't want to end the shine and end the run. Please go ahead and give us some background about yourself, brother.
Name is Sean Anthony Baker, for those that don't know. And yeah, I'm originally from New York. I'm from the Boogie Down Bronx. Um,
Hey.
you know, we overlap because Meelah has a joke about that. We'll get to that later. Uh, but yeah, I listen. I'm an artist, creator, actor, producer, writer, all of the wonderful things that make up creative, wonderful artists. But in my career, I have been blessed to, just do a lot of wonderful things with the talent and the gifts that God has given me. And so I'm grateful to be here and grateful to be in this moment with the wonderful Meelah Williams from 702. But Meelah Williams, just as a person, period, she's so wonderful, so great in this film, and along with the other cast members, we've created something beautiful here, and I'm grateful to be a part of this and to be a part of this this kind of storytelling. So I'm grateful, man. Happy to be here, brother.
I'm like I said, super excited. And I do want to mention, I know in some of our promos leading up, we were looking to have our brother and your friend castmate Ladarian Raymond as part of the
Right.
show. I just want to take a moment to send our condolences and sincerest, prayers. Him and his family. I know he's dealing with something at the moment.
Thank
So for
you.
those of you who don't see Ladarian this evening, he's dealing with a family situation. Like I said, we send our deepest condolences and wish him and his family well, during these times.
Thank you,
Um,
brother. Thank you.
yes, yes, indeed, yes, indeed. So I want to open up to both of you really and start, when people hear strength of love, right? What is one word that you would want people to feel before they actually even watch the film, and why? And I'll start with you on that one, Sean, because I see you got a lot of motion going on there. But if there was just one word,
I have a bad poker face. I can't. Uh, One word: hope.
mm, mm. And why
Hope.
why would hope be that word?
I would say hope is the one word that I would use to describe not only with the film but the title. Before people watch it, is because I believe that right now in this world, just in just period in general, that's what we need.
Mm,
And
yeah.
if I got to go, kind of dial more in and go specific, I think that's what absolutely what our community needs as a people. So I'm going to say hope.
Mm, that like that right there is power. That alone is powerful. Because you hit so many things going on, not only in our country, around the world, but in our community. I can resonate with that one word. We really do need a lot of hope. And Miller, for you, what would be one word that you would use when people hear, strength of love?
I would use, we've been using this word a lot actually to not necessarily describe the film as a whole, but it definitely keeps coming up over and over. I would use the word vulnerability, um,
Mm,
because I really want the audience to be vulnerable and receptive, open hearted and open minded to the stories that they see, not just with Tony and Melody, myself and Sean's characters, but all of the other characters as well, to just put themselves in place and in position to, like I said, be open and willing to embrace the stories that are being told, whether they can
mm,
resonate with it, relate to it or not, but just kind of, have that willingness to learn and grow and heal from maybe what they can um, understand by just learning these stories from these characters.
hmm So I have to ask, the film, being produced by the Baz brothers. what was your initial attraction, to the film and the script when you first had a chance, one to read it, and then when you found out that you would be involved with it? Like, what was that initial attraction? And Mill, I'm going to start with you. When you finalized, like, oh, this is it, and you're taking the lead on this. What was that like?
I've done a few projects in the past, but nothing of this magnitude. And so one, it
Hmm.
was like, oh, I can actually have the opportunity to um, have a lead role and challenge myself to be in a position where it's more than just a background player. I can really be in the forefront. I'm used to being in the forefront as a vocalist, but this was something different, being in the forefront on another level of creativity as an actor. So, of course,
Hmm.
that was the first thing. But mainly the story, I've never read anything or been a part of anything of a story quite like this. It's very complex and intricate and complicated and deep and heavy and
Mm.
emotional.
And
uh,
then
and
that's a
and
lot.
it just yeah, it touches on so many different things from so many different angles and perspectives, and it touches on family and friendships and marriage and gosh, situationships and just all of the layers that come with, I think, the intertwining of
Mm.
exchanges with people in your life. And yeah, it gets a little heavy. It gets very heavy,
Yeah.
and I was just like, I wanted to be a part of something that wasn't necessarily comedic, and wasn't necessarily just typical or predictable
Right.
for me to do. So I wanted to, yeah, try my hand at this and just dig deep. I wanted to be a drama queen. You know what I mean?
So, and I love that. I love you. You want to really stretch yourself and
Yes.
really find that space. But I have to ask too, and I'm going to ask you the same thing, Sean. It's two-part question.
Yeah.
What
I'm
has
sorry.
it been, Miller? Like, yeah, I hear a little. You got a little fuzz, a little breakup in your background.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, wait a minute.
Mm.
Okay.
It's the gremlins. You
yeah,
said it earlier,
yeah,
David.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's the grand. And look, like I said, we can't do with or without technology, and we're going to come back to Miller while she's working through that.
Yeah.
Um, for you, Sean, same thing. What was it about this project and working with the Baz brothers that really drew your attention to this project and wanting to be a part of the project?
So what I'll say is, first, this actually before it became a movie, it was a stage play.
Mm-hmm.
So this was a stage play that was written and created by Jeff Bazille of
Mm-hmm.
Baz Production, and I did it as a stage play a total of more than three times, but in two different instances. With before we did it before Meelah, and then we did another one with Meelah, and that was the last one that we did. So this was a stage play first, and so I
Mm-hmm.
was already familiar with the world
Mm-hmm.
of what he created with the story in terms
Right.
of the message that it had, all of the things that Meelah just mentioned. The difference, though, was when Jeff decided, you know what, let's gonna go ahead and make this a movie. He's gonna make it a
Right.
movie. I knew right away. For me, I was excited because we get to tell the story just a little bit differently.
Right.
Because this now is more intimate, and
Mm-hmm.
also we get to explore more of the story, not just with our, with Mel and Tony, but also with other characters involved, and we get to see all of these different relationships play out, like I said,
Right.
friendships, dating, as well as marriage, family, and it was that, and that was highlighted in the play, in the stage play as well, but very
Mm-hmm.
differently when it comes to putting it on, on the screen, and
Right.
we got to dig deep, we got to dig
Mm.
deep and just um, really get more involved in telling the story in a way in which I believe the audience will be very pleased, very happy to be a part of.
Right. And I wanted to ask, and while Mill is still working in the background, I want to ask,
Oh, am
because
I?
it sounds like, I mean, we can hear you, Miller. Right now we just
Oh.
can't see you at the moment, but we can
Oh,
hear
really?
you.
Oh my gosh. I
Yeah,
can see you guys. I had no clue. Okay.
yeah, we lost
And let me
you
ask
on
a quick
video.
technical question:
Yeah.
would it help if she went out and came back in,
I
or
would
would it?
say I was gonna say, yeah, Miller, try going back out and
Yes,
come
I
back
didn't even
in.
know I was. Okay, sure. Alrighty.
Yeah, yeah, sure, no problem.
I got you.
Um,
Hold it down, me. I got you, girl.
we we got it. We got you. We gonna bring you back.
Yeah.
Um,
Yikes.
you know,
Okay.
just in listening, to both of you really describe, the energy and everything and the excitement and really the complexity of the
Mm.
work that
Yeah,
you guys are going through this project. I
yeah.
want to ask, because sometimes when you get so deep into the work, how does it affect you? Like, how does it stay with you? Because I think that's a part that sometimes we as fans, of the entertainment, you really submerge yourself into that, but does it stay with you for a while? And is it, resonate, with you, and has it changed your perspective on certain things or some things, from being a part of it and living this, from the stage play and now to the film?
I would expect a brother from New York to ask some really deep questions. Because you got deep. You got deep into the different layers. So,
Hey man, look, I gotta ask, man, because I mean, I'm
I
listening to
love
you.
it. No, I love it. This is actually just kudos to you. I love it. So, to answer your question, like you said, audience members typically don't always know. I think not because of the information, because of the way that social media and technology is set up. There's so many avenues and so many platforms where we have more discussions for artists talking, more actors talking, more creatives talking, so they get a little bit deeper insight. But just
Hmm.
to answer your question, brother,
Uh-oh. Right. All right, we got Meelah back, but we still had a little background noise. I don't know.
we see you.
Meelah, maybe we see you. Yeah, now it look like
Let
we
me-
lost you. Yeah, you might have to turn your camera. Yeah, you might have to turn it the
Yeah,
other way.
she got frozen for a second.
Yeah.
She'll work through it.
All right.
Okay, but yes, but to
No.
answer while she's working that out. So to answer
Mm-hmm.
your question, to continue answering your question. So yes, listen, there are roles that we do as actors where yes, we're depending on what the story is,
Mm-hmm.
depending on what's needed of the character, we got to go
Mm-hmm.
deep. You know,
Yeah.
and when I say you got to go deep, like we have to not only, it's not just oh yeah, memorize the lines and study it and show up and be off book, but it's really understanding what's the story that you're telling for the role that you're playing, and how does that
Yeah.
also affect your counterpart in the
Mm-hmm.
story, in the scene? How does it do? And are you doing the job to help in your part of it, your cog in the wheel, to help tell the whole story, right? Guiding
Right.
the whole story. So we do have to sometimes get we're not. I'm gonna yes, depending on the project, but this is because of this project in particular, the strength of love. It's touching so many deep emotions.
Mm-hmm.
We do have to make sure that we're connecting with what this couple is going through. So yeah, it
Right.
does get to stay with you in a way where because you get so emotionally tied and involved with in terms of what we're doing on the day or what we're doing for the story. But then the beauty of the craft and the art of acting is that you learn techniques to be able to come out of it, and you know that
Yeah.
you separate the worlds. I know that I'm not Tony, right? I know that she
Right.
knows.
Right.
She's not Mel. But
Right.
but because we're human and we are portraying human characters and human, we
Yeah.
can understand, we can sympathize, and in some cases, depending on what we're saying in the story, empathize, with
Mm.
the characters and with the roles. So
Mm.
yeah, we do get attached, and we to it because we also, I think, being attached to it as an actor means that for me, I'll say that it shows that you have love and respect for the role, and it
Mm.
honors that you're telling the truth.
Yeah.
It's
That,
because really,
right.
at the end of the day, it's all about telling the truth of what the story is, and then of course the audience gets to enjoy, in hopefully in a great way. They get invested. You want the audience to be
Yeah.
most. That's why a lot of times you hear, whether it's a favorite show or movie, and a fan might want them to go. Let's say your character name was Charles. I'm like, well, I don't like what you did to Mary, Charles. I don't think that was right. And I'm like, actually, like, I'm not Charles. My
Right.
name is, but
Yeah. Right.
the beauty, but that's sometimes the beauty of what we do as actors, because we've made this world where people have dialed into, and and believed, and again become emotionally invested, and that's part of our job.
That is part of your job, and I had to ask that because like I said, that's the side that I know a lot of us we don't see, but it's so true. You guys, from what like I said, just the clips that I've seen,
Yeah,
really made me lean in to want to really, like, I got to watch this. I want to see how this plays out. And we're talking about, you know, characters,
yeah.
and how you are, being able to get people invested, and hey Becky, good evening. Thank you for joining us. Glad you're here. feel free to go ahead and chime in and share your thoughts as we talk about this upcoming film, Strength of Love.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Characters are so important,
Yeah.
and when you as the lead in this, you know the clips show a lot of emotions. There's a lot of emotions to this, and you and Miller seem to do a great job of working through the emotions. But what did you draw? And Miller, she's back. Thank you, thank you,
Maybe
thank you.
My apologies. I have no idea what's going on. I apologize. That's
it's
never
all
happened.
right.
Sorry.
Hey, listen, it's okay. Look, I'm
Gremlins.
pretty.
You said it's the gremlins. The gremlins are in the
Hey,
building.
It's all right.
listen. I look. It happens every once in a while. And look, I know you both are professionals. We've dealt with this, and we're going to keep it moving.
We
Yes.
good.
But I want to backtrack, Miller, because we know talking about character and you're working. Oh, I think we lost her again.
No,
I don't know. Bad
it's
connection
working. It's working.
is working its way through.
Yeah.
And I want to say good evening to Lisa this evening, but I'm going to go ahead and trudge on. Like I was talking about the emotional standpoint of your character and the emotion of the movie, and being a man. Like how did you really get in touch? Because a lot of times, we have a hard time connecting with our emotions and being able to display them in conversation, because a lot of times, like I said, in some of the clips you see some explosiveness,
Yeah.
which is usually the first trait for us as men. But
Mhm.
as I watched some of the clips and some of it seemed like there was a level and a balance out. So how did you work through that emotional roller coaster and to really bring, because you was bringing it as a man on screen, and I was just like, wow. So like, how did you work through that to bring that realness,
Uh,
to us on stage?
so again, another great question, which is something that I've been talking about with this film. Um, Again, first I got to give honor and kudos to the writing. It starts with that's the clay. That's the basis of this thing. Um, it was pretty much written on paper as to what this story is about, because what I love about what Jeff Bazil, again, he's the director creator of this film. What I love about what he did in creating this was he didn't write a story about the typical tropes, right?
Mm. Mm-hmm.
That we've seen in most films and in society when it comes to us. And I'm going to being specific to your question, as men, as men and as black men,
Right.
like
Right.
he didn't lean into that at all. This was he told a story in a very different way. So again, me even going kind of tagging back to your other question, when I read it, that's what excited me, because I said
Mm.
these are the kind of stories that I want to tell. Because like you said, a lot of times we are, listen, as a people, we're passionate. Okay, we got
Mm-hmm.
fire, we got spice.
Yep.
Especially
Yep.
if you're from the Caribbean. Okay, you
Yeah.
listen.
All
We,
that. All that.
all of that. We all of that. This and that.
Spicy.
Oh,
Spicy.
we are spicy in general, just from every
That's
part
right.
of the country and continent. We got spice
Right.
and flavor. So you're
Right.
gonna get that emotion. But what audiences will see and come to understand is that that's not, that we're not a monolith, and that's not
Mm-hmm.
the only way to handle things. And what the movie highlights, strength of love with these characters, is something that I know that will become a through line as people watch this. Men that have emotional maturity,
Mm.
men that have emotional awareness. You
Mm-hmm.
know, not everybody is just screaming at the top of their head, or
Right.
or ready to argue, or ready to be combative. I mean, yes, you got to work through, and you'll have some words, but
Right.
but you'll see that what we're highlighting, what we're in this movie, what we're putting in the forefront is, but if you love this person that you're with in this relationship that you want,
Mm.
I'm not going to argue dirty with you. I'm not going to hit below
Right.
the belt.
Right.
I may have to figure out how to love you, and how you need to be loved, rather, and how the other person wants to be loved. Like Tony had to figure that out. But
Right.
we're not trying to, we're not going for kills here. That's not
Yeah.
what this is. This is truly about how do two people that love each other respect each other. And so what we
Yeah.
have to do, what I think was happening in this film, is that, again, when you see the black man in this film, what you're going to see is emotional awareness, emotional maturity. emotional accountability, and not emotional like we're just sobbing and no, but like we're talking through things. Brothers are talking to each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you need?
Mm-hmm.
What's happening? Sometimes there's a little joke saying there, because that's real life. That's how we do.
Right.
I'm a
Right.
gig on you, but I'm gonna make sure that you're good. And
That's
so
right. That's
that's
right.
real, you know what I'm saying? But that's real life. And so
Mm-hmm.
I know that that's what's highlighted in this film, and I think that's what I know rather that's what people will walk away with when you talk about, to answer your question about how black men are being portrayed in this movie,
Yeah.
and being highlighted and respected in this movie.
Yeah, I love that because I think that's critical. And just talking as black men, again, being from the Caribbean, being Puerto Rican and black and all these things that come, I do understand the spice and the energy and the way we talk sometimes a little bit different. But
Mhm.
I before I transition to middle, I just want to ask too because I think this is important. You talk about maturity, emotional maturity in men, and a lot of us don't have male role models. How do you address that? Like how? Because I know some of us, and I'll use myself. It was a struggle. I took a little bit longer than I should have. It wasn't really I wasn't raised properly, but I do believe by not having that male figure or that presence early on, I stunted my own maturity. But
Mhm.
how would you address that for a young man or a man right now watching this? How should you go about or work towards trying to be the best man you can and being a mature adult in a relationship and treasuring the woman or your partner, as you move forward?
I think what I'll say, again, great question. First, if you are not fortunate enough to have an actual father in your life, whether it be your biological father, or a stepfather, or even an uncle, a good uncle, or good godparent. If you haven't had that, I think that helps to guide men, young men into
Hmm.
understanding what it is to be, again, emotionally mature, emotionally present, accountable. And again, like you said, everybody hasn't had, that's not everybody's experience, right? So as you get older,
Right.
hopefully if you're aware and you're cognizant of it, and you do want to change and make a difference, you say, you know what, I'm tired of making the same mistake, or I'm tired of, then you got to, I think the other thing I will say to that is you got to watch the company you keep, who's in your circle.
Mm, that part.
Because
That
and
part.
that also is what kind of leads to not kind of, it absolutely leads to something that plays in the movie too, because what you see also in the movie is these brothers that are best friends, but they hold each other accountable. And if you
Mm,
have people in your circle that's your yes man, right,
yeah.
you're not gonna
Mm,
grow. Nobody's
yeah.
gonna challenge your one way of thinking. There has to be
Right.
people, hopefully at least one, but hopefully it's more than one in you, within your circle, within your crew, right, that is able
Hmm.
to say, listen, I hear you, and I know this.
Yeah.
What you're saying is this, but for real,
That ain't
you
working.
tripping.
That ain't it. Yeah, you
You
tripping.
gotta
Right.
you gotta have somebody to check you, And
Yeah.
I think so. Again, why? So for young men that's coming up, and whoever's watching this and getting understanding to answer that question specifically, again, which is a great question, especially for our community and today. You've got to know. You've got to have the right people. If you don't have mentors, find one, the good ones, and if you
Okay.
and also
Amen to
watch the
that.
company, watch this. So my mother always said that. She said, "You always told me, don't be a
Hmm.
follower." And that whole saying, "Birds of a feather flock together," but
Feather
you
flock
gotta.
together.
Everybody,
Yeah.
what I'm saying? But everybody's not going to be.
Yeah.
Listen, and I'm not coming from like I was not squeaky clean. Now let me be very
Right.
clear.
Right.
All right, I got
Right.
my history, But at the end of the day, my mother poured enough into me, God bless her soul, that she put that in, she instilled that in me, so
She
that
instilled
stuck
that
with
in
me.
you.
Yeah, and so
Hmm.
at least I know it was in my DNA. I had
Right.
it in there. So even if I encountered something, I had a way to kind of navigate and have a second thought, like, well, and then of
Yeah.
course, I was blessed enough to have parents that had other people that were like-minded around. So
That's
aunties,
right.
again,
That you had that
uncles,
community.
best
You had that
friends that had
community.
the same way of thinking, and so that broad
Right.
up, what they call in the Caribbean, the broad up sea, right? So who's going to bring you
Oh
up?
boy.
Who's going to help bring you
That's
up?
right.
Yeah. So that was, but yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's what I would say. Yeah.
But and I agree. I agree with you. And yes, Rebecca has stated that she feels like it's the mother, that teaches men the emotional maturity. And to a degree, you're 100% right. But there's a point in time where a young man becomes a man.
Mm.
Uh, and like I said, when I grew up, yeah, like Sean just said, my mother's words were always in my ear. I heard them, I saw them, But without that male influence, I decided, like I said, not squeaky clean, but I
Right.
decided I want to go ahead and do this. I wanted, no, and I ain't had no business doing it. No, I shouldn't be doing it. But I think that's what I'm talking about because I agree with everything you're saying. I agree with what Rebecca's saying. But I think
Yeah.
sometimes you need that, you know, that kick in the butt. And I had that kick in the butt moment
Yeah.
at one point, and that's what kind of helped me. Like, okay, all right, let's get myself. Dame, time to get yourself together,
Right.
and go ahead and get back on track. So
And Becky, I want to
hmm?
say something because I know, and we hope that we're not saying it in a way where it's dismissing what you're saying about. No, listen, mothers are absolutely important.
Oh,
Meelah can speak to this. Mothers are important, right?
without
Because
question.
my mother, I will say from experience, my mother absolutely taught me. I'm more like her in a lot of ways.
Right,
Actually, I'm split, but I have a lot of her in me because she was very emotionally aware. I was sensitive to certain things because of her. So the kid,
that
that
part.
nurturing, caring side of me, understands that because of her.
Right,
However, when it came to other aspects in life, and depending on where you grew up and whatever, my father played a part, but then I had
right,
OGs in my area that played a part, the right
right,
ones. So
right.
there has to be a balance. I just
Agreed,
think that there's a balance that's needed in
agreed.
order to at least have the chance for a young man and young woman to come up in a particular way, and there has to be some kind of balance. I'll say that.
Right, I agree. Mila, I thank you. Well, I'm glad. I'm right now. I know we are done with whatever we was dealing with. Cause sister, you here?
Done.
Right. Your composure, right? Wusa, all that.
Woosah.
Yeah, man, all
And
that.
look, and she ain't
You know
give
what I'm saying?
up. Me
And
love,
that, but
me
and
love.
that's what I was. And see, that's what I said.
I'm
I'm
so
going.
embarrassed because I'm just like, girl, are we on dial up? Like, what is happening, child? We paid the bill.
Listen.
Did we pay the bill?
First of all,
Oh,
first
okay.
of all, you don't be embarrassed because this is what I tell. This
Like,
too
what
much
is
so we keep
happening?
everything real. It's this real. We do this. We doing this in real time. This is real life. This is how things
Right,
happen. As
right.
much as we wanted to be perfect, you here, and I'm just gonna backtrack
Thank you
for a
for your
second.
patience.
Yeah, oh,
Thank you.
no, listen. I like I said, I thank you for your time this evening. So I patience aplenty. So I'm going to
Mm,
backtrack, Miller, and
okay.
Sax, because I was talking with Sean, and we were talking about your characters and really the emotion from an emotional standpoint. One, a lot of us don't see the aftermath or after you put on this performance and how it stays with you. And in that, and especially this film, because it seems like Sean hit it so eloquently, just the different tropes that are in this film. And a lot of it, I don't want to call it baggage, but it's weight, it's heavy.
Yes.
So how did you be able to transition, one, to get into the mindset, but what was it like for you after transitioning and then having to be Miller again, in everyday life, because that we don't see.
This is true. And it definitely is a transition before and after, not just during the
Hmm.
filming. So I think during the filming, I transitioned um, by allowing myself to become vulnerable. There's that word again. I
Hmm.
had to really take Meelah out of it and kind of morph into Melody. And because we had done it as a stage play, as Sean mentioned before, I was familiar and I remember those moments in the movie, in the story, where I had to kind of allow myself to peel back all these layers and really get down and dirty with it. And right before I went to film, I had been touring that entire summer. I was on tour, and then I went straight from the last day of tour, which was about 2 months, straight to set the very next morning after the very
Oh,
last
wow. Wow.
show. And so it was definitely a transition. But I had to dive right in. There's no excuses. Once you show up, you're either going to show up or you're not. So I had to just really
Hmm.
dig deep and draw from experiences that I had gone through in relationships, that I had gone through personally, that I had gone through with friends or former friends, foes, enemies, everything in between. I drew from losing my mother recently. That was her presence was very heavy on me on set. She was at the play. She attended the play back in 2017, but unfortunately is not able to now see it on screen. And so a lot of those moments, I really just thought about her, and it made me emotional and it made me sad. Um, and then, God, just the story itself, without giving it away, the story, one of the heaviest moments in scenes in the movie with myself and Sean, it goes left in a way, emotionally, in a way that a husband and wife are truly tested and truly challenged. It's really focused on communication and honesty and being real with each other and being straight up with each other. And I just put myself in that mindset. I've been in a space with a partner, not necessarily a husband, but with a long-term partner where I've been challenged with my emotions and with having to show up and not be, not be so closed off and closed-minded that I'm sweeping things under the rug. You know what I mean? Like I've been challenged in that way because I don't like tension and I don't like drama and I don't like there to be eggshells in the home where we're walking on eggshells. I don't like those moments. So for me, I don't want to give him time to process it. I want to address it right in the moment. and I had to learn the hard way that that's not everybody's process.
That's right.
And I'm like, no, we're going to talk about it right now because we're not going to go to bed mad at each other. We're not about to wake up mad at each other. We're not about to be walking around the house, not speaking for a week. We're going to address it now. Right. And I had to learn in real life and with my character, you have to give your partner time to process.
Yeah.
And it's a healing process, but it's what Sean said as well. It's a maturation. It's an emotional maturity and an emotional intellect and intelligence that you have to have. So I had to transition quite a few ways, mentally, emotionally, communicatively, and really take Meelah out of it and say, okay, this is about Melody and Tony. And because I was familiar with the story from the stage play, it kind of helped me to, I guess, help me to put that across on screen and bring that across on screen and express it in a way that I know, or hopefully that the audience will understand it and be convinced by it. Yeah. I hope I convinced them.
Like I said, from the trailers, I mean, you got me. I'm ready to go come Friday. And nice. As Becky says, she prefers to talk about it head on. And I think, and if I'm just being transparent, I think, I know now, I prefer to, but as you're coming up and you're working through these things early on, you're worrying about the other person's feelings, or sometimes you don't care about the other person's feelings. So I think it's again, like what we talked about, the, emotional maturity of an individual, that you get to a point where you just realize, I can't carry this with me no more. I don't want to carry this with me no more. And I'm pretty sure the other person doesn't want to carry this with them anymore, and just deal with it head on. But it's the way, and this is the other side of it to me, in my opinion, it's the way that you present it. The
it's
way
your
you
delivery.
Right. Yes, your delivery and everything. And I think, again,
what you say is how you say it.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
But that's the growth part. So I'm excited, and I hear, your work and your challenges and the things that you use, Meelah, to pull this together. But I want to transition for a minute, because in film and things like this, we have to talk about like the chemistry and the collaboration of the work, and looking at it from a distance. And like you said, you guys have had the pleasure of doing this on stage. But how did you build the trust? Because I have to imagine there has to be a lot of trust first, to even be able to build any type of transferable chemistry. And when I say transferable, meaning to us as the viewers and the audience. So how did you, Meelah, and I'll start with you, how did you work to build that trust and chemistry with Sean on stage?
Oh, well, you know what? If I may just rewind quickly.
Sure.
Because I didn't answer the second half of the last question. Just really quick. I just thought about coming out of character. I thought about it because when we wrapped after filming, I had been on tour for 2 months, and then I had been filming for a few weeks. And once it was all said and done, I realized I don't think I ever told you this, Sean. I was so heavy, and I was so like, it was just still on my back, and I felt this sadness, and I was like, what is wrong? Like, I just did this tour, I just did this movie, like, I'm so blessed. What is this? And I really went through, like, it was almost like a postpartum, like after giving birth. I was really sad, and I didn't know if it was the absence of um, the obvious, my mother not being here in my home, which I was used to, or the absence of, all the adrenaline and the endorphins, suddenly everything coming to a halt creatively, just stopping. And
Right.
now I'm just back at home and I'm just like, wait, I'm not Meelah on stage. I'm not Melody. I'm back to being a mommy in real life. And I felt that. So
Right.
you have to jump back into real life. And
Yeah.
it's pretty tough. I know Sean, to kind of undo some of those characters. Some of those characters really live with you, and they live through you,
Hmm.
especially if you are, if you really are in that character so much so that you lose yourself, which I think is the intent of
Yep.
being an actor. You want to lose yourself
Right.
in that role so that you can be that character. But coming out of it,
Right.
I had never experienced that before, so it was really interesting. It was definitely but it felt good once I got out of it and I realized what it was. And I'm like, okay, that was different. But I
Yeah.
acknowledged
Mm.
it and I was able to move on. But
And
it was heavy. And Sean, I don't know why I never mentioned that to you, but it was a real thing. So thank you for asking that because nobody's ever
yeah.
asked that before. So I appreciate that. Okay, fast forward. Now what you guys ask me? Look.
I'm sorry. I want to chime in because it's such a heavy question that he asked because we were talking
Yes.
about it while you were off. So, but just to connect to that for those
Hmm.
listening that are the fellow actors, but also aspiring to be, just understand that yes, we part of what we do is to. I want to change, if you will, just a little bit, Mila, not get lost because we
Hmm.
need to stay, because there's a part of us, we're human, right? So we got to stay
Yes.
grounded. We got to find a way to
Yep.
stay
Right.
grounded while we honor what this role needs. So
Right.
what we're doing is we're lending our emotions, our emotional DNA, ourselves to the role so that the believability is there. Of course, what we do physically, emotionally, through our
Costume and all that.
speech,
Yeah.
all of it. However, um, and I think Mealy will, I think we're gonna get to learn this. You're gonna get to learn this as you continue to do the work. We have, and I said this when you were going. You have to find a balance. That's why
Hmm.
that's why you're living your everyday life is so important because
Yeah.
that brings you back. That's
That's
your
Yeah.
that's almost like that's your totem, right?
that's
Whether
Yeah.
that be your I
I
mean,
love
it could
that.
be different things, and there's techniques for that because sometimes you go so deep into a character. That's why you felt the heaviness. I think, and it's fun. It's so interesting that you mentioned that here now, but it's very real and you'll see in this film, she gave everything. Like this wasn't let's get some tear stick and let's get some
Right.
put some water on her eye. No, this Meelah was going through. But Meelah helped Mel
mm,
go through, and that's what the story needed. But she gave it for herself. So what she felt at the end of this was, I'm going to say, it's a combination of things. Definitely, it was coming from tour, mom, right? But also, like you said, it's almost like another death, so to speak, because we wrapped up this
Yeah.
project. We've been family for so long shooting this project. You walk away with something, you feel like, oh man, I don't got to wake up tomorrow at my
Right.
call time.
yeah,
Right.
I ain't got
Right.
yeah,
to,
Right.
yeah,
you
Right.
know what I'm saying? You've
Right.
seen everybody. So there's
Right.
something there too, where you have to now detach
you're
it
grieving
back to
that.
the real world, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's some, just to say, I just wanted to say that really quickly, and then that we,
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
actors, there are techniques that you must learn because you don't want to get so lost that you walk around every day feeling like Tony and Mel. That's not the goal of the actor. The goal is to go ahead, dive in, tell the story to the best of your ability.
Ability.
And then when you finish, find the thing that brings you back. Go on vacation, read your books, do the things that your actual being person would do, and find your
Right.
Mm.
happiness to come out of it. But this is why, and the last thing, Al Pacino, I love this quote: actors are emotional athletes. And when you see athletes give
Mm-hmm.
themselves and their body to stuff, because that's we do it emotionally, and that's
Oh boy.
probably even, I'm going to say, if not just as hard, sometimes even harder, because you're talking about a mental aptitude to be
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
able to
Yeah.
divide who I am as Sean, but I'm
Yeah.
also this person. And on that's Tuesday, and if I'm doing another project on Friday, I'm
Right.
somebody else.
Right.
Yes.
So
Right.
you understand? So there's techniques, and that's why sometimes you'll see actors will go into solitude and they'll dial
Mm-hmm.
it down because we need to get centered again. You got to find your happiness
Yeah.
with that. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you for
Man.
saying that
I
statement.
no.
Thank you, Neil.
I look. I love it because this, like I said, this is the side, and we get the opportunity to kind of peel the layers back because this is what we don't shoot. Like I say,
Mm-hmm.
fans and followers. We a lot of times we don't get to have this conversation, and I just think I like to be able to. I know I walk a little different path, and I ask a little things a little differently, but I think it's important because
I
one, you're
love it.
human. You know what I'm saying? You're human beings, right? As much as we love your work and we follow you and support you, you're still human beings and you're still dealing with these things every
Yes.
day, right?
Absolutely.
And it goes back to the question I was asking Mila, like about the trust and the
Yes.
chemistry that
Mm-hmm.
you and Sean built. Going from stage to film. But
Mm-hmm.
like, how did you really go about that? Because in parts of, like I said, some of the clips I saw, like I said, it just stood out to me. Like, okay, yeah, I gotta watch this, and because some of it, again, is vivid for me. But being with someone for so long,
Mm-hmm.
some of the explosive conversations and interactions that I saw took me back to moments early on, and I relate. Well, you're still trying to figure things out. You're
Mm-hmm.
trying to figure out how to talk to each other, try to deal with
Right.
this situation, and that's real life chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you guys build that and be able to bring that to film?
Well, Sean is very brilliant. Sean is really, and this is not to gas him. I tell him this all the time. I've told him this on screen, off screen. Sean is very, 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 very gifted at what he does. He's spectacular at what he does. He does this for a living, and you can tell he does it out of love and passion. And he's been doing it a long time, and it shows. He does it, and he does it well. So when we first met on the play back in 2017, I'll be honest, I'm a little shy. Even though I'm in front of people for a living, I'm a little awkward until I get to know you. And and Sean really made me feel comfortable. It's so funny, Sean. I remember one time in rehearsal. I don't know if you remember this. Maria
We
was
come up with a lot of stuff that we remember. We got to.
I love it. I love it. Hey, that's what we talking about. I love it. Go ahead,
This
Meelah,
stuff is
talk
like
about
coming
it.
to my brain now. So I don't know, but Miss Maria was like at rehearsal. She's like, okay, I'm gonna need y'all to act like y'all love each other. Like I'm gonna need y'all to act like y'all like really like each other. I'm gonna need y'all to get a little closer, like show some, affection, like look like a real married couple.
I remember that.
Because it was very beginning, very early on in the rehearsals. So I'm like, okay, like, and it was just at first a little awkward and uncomfortable for me, but Sean was he's so down to earth, and he's just so he's naturally warm, and I know there were times where I just was a little uncomfortable, not necessarily with him or our exchange, but even with dialogue or things that I needed, like how he just corrected me, like, it's not that we get lost, As an
I like
actor.
I like that invitation. I like that.
He corrects me. But I love that. There are things that I didn't necessarily know, or that I was maybe green to, or just maybe a little off with. And Sean was he became my acting coach. I've had acting coaches before, but Sean became my on site, in the moment acting coach, by choice. And that really just created, I think, a wall, created me to get comfortable to let the wall down. It helped me to just realize he wants me to win. He wants the best for me. Yeah, he was a perfect gentleman. I never felt like he was doing too much. You do stuff with folks sometime and it's like extra, like you're doing too much.
Right.
I was never that, and so he's always just been a perfect gentleman. And so that chemistry was created from the stage play. And of course we remain friends, and it has now carried over almost 10 years ago onto the screen. So we hadn't done anything together really since then, but it was kind of like riding a bike. I got right back on, once I hit set, it was familiar. He was familiar. And when I felt uncomfortable or showed that I had, some discomfort or some maybe uncertainties, he took me to the side. He embraced me, and you know what I mean? He just kind of calmed me down or walked me through it. Hey, let's run these lines. Hey, he gave me pointers when I was improvising too much. Girl, you're doing too much, maybe not verbatim, but he definitely let me know, let the scene,
Right.
let it breathe.
I love how she imitates.
Oh, my bad. Okay.
Let it breathe.
Sorry.
This must be new to you. This must be new for you. Yeah.
But I appreciate that. So to answer your question, him just being so real, he's 100. He from NYC, like he loved to say. So New Yorkers is, they're straightforward, and
that's what we do.
Straight shooters. But it's all about what we say, how we say it, and his delivery is always warm and
Yeah.
kind and endearing, and I never felt intimidated. He,
Yeah.
he embraced me, and so I appreciate that. He
I
welcomed
love
me
that.
though with open arms.
I love that. I love that energy. And this is a moment in the show where I'm going to veer off just a second before we get back to the actual film.
Okay.
I want to give a little spot. I want to get a little spotlight. I want to get into, both of you individually. And Meelah, I want to start with you since you was having a little trouble earlier. So I'm gonna give you some
Oh my
shine
God.
here.
Right.
Right. I'm gonna give you some shine here, sis. So,
Okay.
listen, let's keep it a buck. Let's keep it real. You've really given us in the world, if I'm going to be honest, like timeless music, through your Motown hit making with the group 702. And kudos to you. I want to say, am I dating myself? But has it been almost 30 years?
Well,
Or give
the first 702 album was released October 1996. So in October, it will literally be 30 years.
Sheesh. Okay, like I said, I'm dating myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay. So first of all, shout out to you and the ladies of 702
Thank you.
for that, because that goes, people don't speak of that enough and don't show enough shine,
Thank
to that and your work on that end. But how was the music journey really help prepare you for this moment now that you're really looking to get or really explode or expand your acting career? Because
you.
I'm curious to know what's that like for you, the whole new challenge, the excitement, like what is that past glory really help build you for, as you move forward?
I always say I feel like singing and acting are synonymous and kind of go hand in hand. Sean and I
Mm-hmm.
both came from musical theater backgrounds. I went to a performing arts high school in Las Vegas. Myself and my bandmates, that's where we met, at a performing arts high school in Vegas, where I'm from, born and raised. Sean, that was for you. Um,
Shots,
and
shots.
so I've always had this desire to act. Like I said, I did some acting in high school. I was in the plays in high school. I was in like, what was the name of that play? Gosh, I can't even think of it right now. But I did lots of plays in high school, of course, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then right after high school, I literally signed to Motown during 11th, 12th
Wow.
grade, and then right after high school, I went straight to New York. 1996, moved there, relocated from Vegas, and I haven't lived there since. But I think the fast-paced lifestyle of it all, and just, gosh, things happening in such big ways in such short amounts of time, it's such a blessing, but it is such a blur as well, because I've done so much over the years. But because they've been things on grand scales, highs and lows, and in betweens, I definitely feel as though it's prepared me for just performing and entertaining. When I wasn't with 702, I was a background singer for at least 3 to 5 years. With like Macy Gray, I sang with Raphael Sadiq, I sang with Faith Evans, I sang with, I did stuff, gosh, backgrounds for Bobby Brown. I was everywhere, like just grinding.
Just fabulous icons that she's.
Hey, listen.
This is when I was like, I was like really at my low,
right,
for me, right? And I was like really grinding and just trying to find my way. And that's no shade or no diss to the art of background singing. I don't ever want that to be received like that. But for me, I kind of went from being, in the front to then being in the background. And so it was just a transition, but it was definitely a humbling time in my life. And I enjoyed it so much. Even that has brought me to this moment, because it was different. Playing the role of a background singer versus being Meelah, the lead singer of 702, all of these years with, these successful albums and all of these, hit songs. But then you see me behind other artists. And at first I felt a little uneasy about it, because there was criticism from my fans. But then once I stopped caring, I'm just like, I'm still traveling and singing and touring the world. And I learned so much as a background singer. And I think that prepared me too with acting, because I learned how to interact with others. And it wasn't always about me, and learning to blend, learning to, even though in a group you have to be one sound, mind, body, and soul, you got to be joined at the hip as a group and always a
Right.
united front, which is hard.
Right.
But with background singing, it's like you are not the artist, period. You're in the background, and it just really it gave me a different perspective on
Hmm.
on artistry, and gosh, just going through what oh God, I'm leaving so much out because I've been through so much, but that's a whole nother
No, and
show.
look, that right.
But,
And you,
but
if
just
you want to come back, if you want to come back
going
and
through
talk
what I
about it, you can come
have.
back and talk about it. But
That's
we ain't
right.
got to
But
do it tonight.
going through what I have to
Right.
tie this up. But going through what I have has definitely brought me to this moment because, like I said, singing and acting and dancing and all, it's the arts, right? They all kind of
Right.
go together. And just being on
Mhm.
stage and being in front of a crowd, whether it's 300, 3,000, or millions, just being and doing the television shows, the night shows
Right.
and the soul
Right.
trains and the award shows and all that. It definitely prepares you. I think it's totally different from acting, but I am acting on that stage as
Hmm.
well because I'm singing and I'm in uniform and I'm performing. When I come off
Right.
stage, I'm not performing anymore.
Point at all.
It's
Hmm.
back to real life. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's back to just me
But
being Meelah. Now, of course, at this age, being a mother, being an adult woman, totally different. But then when it's time to turn it on, Sean does this. I'm
back
sure.
at right.
We turn it
Right.
on.
Back at it. Back
Yeah.
at back at it.
So just
Yeah.
starting so young, like starting at age 17 and going all
Wow.
the way up through now, like
You're right.
it most definitely has prepared me to be on screen. And I pray to God that this opens more doors for film
Well,
and
listen.
television for me.
Oh, yeah.
I always say from your mouth to God's ear,
Hey,
That's the
you got to put it out in the universe.
yes,
You
yes,
got to let them know. You know what I'm
right,
saying?
right.
let me
And
know.
I hear from you. In your you went that preparation really started with a level of humility. Sometimes when you're so used to being in the forefront, sometimes
Mhm.
you got to get put in the back so that
Mm,
you can actually see
yeah.
you know what's going on and
Hmm.
prepare yourself. Okay, now this is what you want, this is what you asked for.
Hmm.
You got to get right, and that's what I heard from that. And I think that that's
Yeah.
incredible because you had an incredible run and an incredible stretch of success. And like I said, from your mouth to God's ears, may it continue in this new phase of your career while you continue with your sisters in 702 to bring us hits and more hits. And I'm just going to ask before I transfer the turn real quick, in just simple yes or no, are we looking at another album anytime soon? Anything new that
A
we can expect?
702 album.
Yeah.
I never say never.
Ooh,
I'll say never say never. I don't know. I won't say yes. I won't say no. I don't know if you know, but we did lose a member. We lost Irish
Yes.
in
Yes.
2022.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, Misha and I are still carrying on the legacy, and
I'm
so we 23. I'm sorry. We just might. I'm not gonna say no. Never say
yeah.
never. I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I just had to
Look,
ask. I
look.
just had to
That's
ask.
a stay tuned. That's a dot 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 to
I
be.
thought, okay, there you go. You heard it here.
yeah.
Dot dot dot, y'all. Listen.
Yeah,
So Sean,
because the hits are the hits.
look, the hits are the hits. They are what they are, and they still vibing and rocking.
Homeless.
Today they timeless, exactly. So, but I just had a moment. I just wanted to take that moment to say,
Thank you for the moment.
Love that.
Sean, oh my
Yes, sir.
brother,
Yes, sir.
man, looking at you and your career, and we talked about it. Your path seems to be really expanding, which again is a blessing in itself to have have another brother grace the screen and really bring us tremendous talent, through his acting in these roles. And I want to ask, like, so for you, what has this season of growth taught you, if anything, one really about yourself? Because I think that's important. And what do you see yourself maybe evolving into, over the next year or so of your career?
Brother, you so deep. I said this earlier. I gotta keep saying it because I mean, this
It's like a
he,
song,
nothing has been surfaced. I
Yeah.
just I really appreciate you, man. I
Yeah,
really
yeah,
do.
Thank
yeah.
you. Thank you.
Good questions.
But wow, whew, man, you touching on something that hit my spirit just now because
Mm.
Thank you.
I talk to people, my close circle, Meelah and I talk about things often as well. I talk to my close circle about, like, when you said this season has taught me understanding grace,
Mm,
understanding patience,
wow. Okay.
strengthening my belief in what I know to be true, strengthening my belief in my purpose,
Mm.
and making sure that I stay connected and in tune with God, and knowing that I believe I know what I'm here to do. And so, regardless of how the road turns,
Yeah.
regardless of the ebbs and flows, I got to stay steady because
Mhm.
God's got me, and I know what I'm put here to do. So in this season, I learned those things were highlighted. Just having understanding the grace that God has given, understanding have patience, but also knowing you are who you are. You
Yeah.
continue. You know who you are, and when you step out into the world, and when you continue, as I continue on this path, I'm learning more and more to step into that and let the world know who I am. There's a
Mhm.
saying, and I probably just posted it today on somewhere, but always love to hear quotes and sayings and affirmations. And one of the things that I discovered and I came across was, if you're an ocean, then be an ocean. Don't be a pond
Mm.
where other people can't swim.
Woo. That's
So
powerful right there.
I sit with things like that in this season because it taught me so much in terms of like not dimming my light,
Mm.
not accepting, like, no, I know who I am. It's not to be boastful. It's not to feel like, oh, so now you think, because some people sometimes will say some things and they'll be slaking like,
Yeah.
oh, so
Yep.
how's your little career going? The little
Right.
slightly
Right.
things, right? How's your
Right.
little career going? How's your little acting thing
Yep.
going? Oh, you think you big
Yeah.
time now,
Yep.
and I
Yep.
know who's joking,
Yep.
and I
And
know
who's
who's
serious?
saying it to be facetious, and like,
Man.
and it used to bother me, right? It doesn't
No more.
anymore, because when they say
Right.
something like that, I'm like, I say thank you, because
Yep.
and the reason why those that are joking in a facetious manner, you're doing that because my light scares you, and I see you, and
Man, stop.
you don't scare me. So I've
Mhm.
Man,
learned
stop.
that, and moving forward, I feel extremely hopeful. I feel like the world is not just my oyster, because what I do is not it's for myself, but I do this for in the memory of my family, my ancestors, my mother, my father,
Mhm.
all the people that have toiled to get me here. Even in
Yeah.
their physical absence, they are guiding me. They're walking with
Mm.
me every day. They're going before me in these rooms. They're making people talk about me.
Wow.
I know and receive that. So as I move forward in the season, I just feel hopeful. I feel hopeful. I feel great. I feel light. I see it because what I do, like I said, is not just for myself, but I want to be able to. I will be able to. I got to be careful what I say. I will be able to help others. I will be able to reach, like how Issa Rae would say, reach across. Right. I
Gotcha.
will be able to pull
Yep.
up. I will be able to
Mhm.
stabilize, because
Mhm.
I remember, it's funny. I remember telling Baz this. Baz. When I say Baz brothers,
Mhm.
Jeff, and
Mhm.
Adrian, so shout
Mhm.
out to the Baz brothers family. I remember when I did the stage play. I got to say this. I have to say this. I remember when I did the first time we did it. This is before you, Meelah, and I remember at the time I didn't have I started out doing background work too. Like, I mean, I came from theater, some musical theater, so I transitioned to TV and film. But this was the
Mhm.
time where when I met Baz doing this play, I auditioned for it. I got, they liked what I did. I got the role, and I was on stage with some other people that really, they had definitely more name than me. I'm
Right.
from you know, I'm from the Bronx, coming over here to Atlanta. I ain't got no following, ain't got no fan base.
Right.
Not in this arena, not in this field. And what sticks with me, and I haven't said this on an interview yet, so I'm glad to say it here. Um, what I love about the way that Baz operates is that they see the best in people. They are about growing the family. Um,
Mhm.
in their production, it's not just, oh, we're shooting a movie, we're doing a film. Like, we're building community, and I love that about them,
Right.
because they're the same ones that came back to me at the time. It wasn't a money thing, because they paid me, whatever it was. They could, at the time, we were doing these stage plays. If you know how stage plays go, you do what you
Mhm.
do to put out to get your money. You can try to get bust in the seats, and
Right.
do what you do.
Right. Right.
When they came to me, I was doing a play at a church, and they met me in the parking lot, and they was like, "Listen, we had to, do some things and pay out and blah blah blah, but." It was like, yo, you did so good, and you put your whole heart and soul into it. You did so well. Like, you weren't a name, but we just had to make it going to bless you. They paid me
Mm.
a little bit extra,
Wow.
and they just handed me the offer. And
Wow.
I was like, That's never. I mean, in my at that point in time, as far as acting, that's that's never been done. This
Right.
person
Wow.
talking about it. I hope I'm not embarrassing them. If I am, whatever. I'm sure. I'm telling.
Right.
I'm telling you about all that. But this is how
Right.
they are. They, like,
Beautiful.
they recognized that in me, and so I honestly that hit me so hard. I was like, I know that's the kind of people that I want to be around, and
Yeah.
I'm going to grow with. And I said to them, and what I said to them was, I said, I'm going to tell you this right now, and I felt like it was my mantra, my duty. I'm going to work so hard moving forward. Like I didn't know what we're going to do from them because it was just stage play. But I said, I'm going to work hard. I'm going to make sure that anything that you put me on, if you work with me again, I'm going to work hard so that my name has value to whatever you do.
Wow.
I know.
Look at
I
that.
said that. I remember. And I don't think, but I said, "Well, because I felt like that was my way of giving back to what I mean." And it was again, this wasn't about the money. It was just the fact that they respected and honored what I
Yep.
what I gave, and
And,
that was me at the time. I didn't have the credits that I have now.
Mm-hmm.
You know
and
what I mean?
you
So
want to
now
be
we
able
come
to,
back around, and even before this movie, I did a different movie with them called Making Moves. And that was my first lead in a feature film. It's called what we call Making Moves. That's out on YouTube and Prime.
right?
So that was my first feature. I had done, uh, what would you say, me like co-star roles and guest star
Yeah.
roles and something like in the movie. I did Tupac movie. I did certain things, but you might see me in there, in and out, but I
Right.
wasn't the lead. But I learned. I
Right.
started as a background actor.
Mhm.
Everything from being Mary Jane to Taken to you name.
Wow.
I was because I wanted to learn. Just
Right.
like in stage, I did crew. I could learn how this works, but humility. I learned it, and when it's your turn, it's your turn. And so,
That's right.
Right.
yeah. But again, I had to tell that story. I'm sorry. I had to go. I had
No,
to tell that
no, that's
story.
great because I mean it's all about paying it forward. And this is what we talk.
That's right.
Yeah.
They gave you an opportunity, and now you're helping pay it forward because this 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 has progressed and it has moved
Yeah.
into this space, into this lane, which
Mhm.
is awesome. And again, I'm honored to be able to share this and have this conversation. And look, we're coming to the back end of the show, and before we go, I want to specifically talk about the film in the sense of, Miller. If I can start with you, like, what is one thing you would want fans to know about this project that maybe they haven't seen yet in any of the trailers or any of the other fantastic interviews that you've given along the way? Now that the premiere is really set for this Friday, what would it be?
Wow. We've done several interviews and we've talked about so many things. Um, gosh, what I want them to know is that, first of all, shout out to Bass Brothers Production again, because the story that Sean just told, that is just a testament to who they are. Mr. and Mrs. Maria and Jeff Bazille, they gave me an opportunity to do the play, and then all these years later have come back to me, and they didn't have to. They could have chose so many other, leads for this film because it's all these years later. But they came back to me, so that's just so dope of them. That's kind of like what Sean, what you just said, like that's just who they are. They came back to me and gave me another shot. So shout out to them for that, for keeping me in this role as Melody. But what I want people to know and take away from it is I was truly passionate about this film. A lot of people don't even know it was a play,
Wow.
and I did it again, not because it was a play. And I'm like, oh, well, I already did the play, so I guess I'll just do the movie. No, I did it because of the storyline, because of how it resonated with me as a Black woman, the story that it's telling for Black couples and exploring Black love and Black friendships about Black families. And I want them to know that I chose this role and I took this movie on again, this project on again, because I think there's so many untold stories that need to be told and that need to be heard. And I think it's really important that more stories like this are told and exposed. So hopefully, whether they've seen any of the trailers or not, they'll understand that it's something that I didn't do just to, be glorified on film, on screen, but that it was intentional. And hopefully that will, get them to want to come more than just being a fan of Meelah 702, but to
Mm,
truly
mm,
come and be a supporter of not just mine and not just Sean's, but just of Black stories.
mm.
Yeah.
Listen, I look, I couldn't have said that any better because it is important. Like we started at the top of the show, this is what part of what Two Mics Up is all about. Really highlighting and talking about people and things that are important to people who look like us.
Yeah.
We are so talented, and Sean, you and I talked about it, before we came on. We are so much more than just rappers and athletes. We can be, and we are so much more. And to be
Mhm.
able to bring this conversation about a film, about a black family, a black community, the trials and tribulations, I think it's important that we sit down and take time to support not only the culture, but support the movement and the people that are behind the scenes, people who we may not know, like people like Miller that we may know from one genre, but now we're looking at her in another space. A brother like Sean, who does so many other things, not just a talented actor, but he has so many other things going on that now we can get behind these movements, and we should celebrate these things in a space, in a forum like this. So I couldn't have said it any better. And Sean, I just want to ask you, as we close out, when you think about going from the stage play to the film, and after people, because I think this is the part too, I think the conversation after people watch the film,
Yeah.
what is it, from being a part of this from the beginning, throughout the entire process, what would you want people to say, or should we really dive into any conversation, after watching this type of film, because it's powerful.
Yeah. I will say unequivocally, without a shadow of a doubt, what I believe, not even what I hope, what I believe that people will walk away with and start talking about is questioning what they think they knew
Mm,
about love.
mm, wow, wow,
Absolutely.
wow, wow.
That part.
Yeah, wow. I mean, I'm stuck on that one because that speaks
Yeah.
volumes.
Yes, that's good.
That, yeah. Listen, Sean, I'm gonna thank you because that's the best way to put the pin in the show, ladies and gentlemen. If you're watching this live and you're here, because I see a lot of you in the backgrounds, I thank you for being here. Share this with a friend, and
Please.
don't tell them go to the end, but tell them just wait for the end for that comment from Sean. And when you watch the movie, have that conversation at home because we don't do this enough anymore. Have that conversation at home. Truly great conversation with both of you. I thank you for
Thank
taking
you.
time out tonight. But before we go, I want to allow you again. I don't know if people hiding under a rock or whatever, and they don't know who you are, Miller. I want to allow you to go ahead and share your social media with our audience. Please go out, get behind this talented sister, and continue to support her and the work that she's doing.
Thank you. So my social media is the same on all platforms. It's at It's Meelah. It's at ITSMEELAH at It's Meelah on IG and Facebook.
All
Oh,
right,
and
all
on Apple and all streams, all digital platforms for my music with 702 and solo music. Just type in Meelah and
all right.
I'll
People
come
Uh,
up.
find you, girl.
Right, that's right. You don't make sure they listen here. And don't be no stalkers either. Just go out and find and support. Don't be weird. Okay. All
Yeah, don't
right.
be weird. She got people out here. She got people out here that'll handle that. Don't be weird.
Hey,
You know what I'm saying?
I got me.
She's
I know
covered and
that's right.
protected. Don't be weird. Don't do
I
that.
know that right. I know that's right, bro. I know that's right.
Yeah.
Sean, please go ahead before we go, brother. Please take a moment to share your social media, if you will.
Yes, sir. On IG, it's Sean Sean Anthony Baker on IG. On Facebook, I think it's Sean Anthony Baker as well. TikTok, same thing, and all platforms you'll find me, Sean Baker. And you know what? And IMDb, same thing. And I say this humbly: Google me, you'll find me.
Okay. All right. Listen here. If y'all don't know, Google Sean, and you'll find out the facts. Go to get your
Period.
IMDb up, get all that stuff together, and
All
go
that.
find out what this brother's been up to and what our sister's been doing, and
Yeah.
Yes.
just before, because I gotta, because I can't leave without asking both of you. If, because Sean, it just made me think about what we were talking behind the scenes. Are there any projects that maybe you can share or talk about that you we can see your lovely work again in the near future? And Sean, I'll start with you because you had mentioned something, but I don't know if I can talk about it. But I didn't put you on the spot, so I don't know what you can share from what you
You're
can't
on the
share.
spot now.
I said because of I was like, wait, what are you talking about? What did I say?
Well, you say you was
I said
working on a
because
project. So.
I'm working on the project now. That's why I look real militant. I'm actually getting ready to jump at the set right now, but I can't talk on that, so I can't tell you
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Listen, I love to answer that question like this. What's coming up next? Whatever God has planned.
Amen
That's
to
what that. All
that.
right. But in the meantime, watch Strength of Love May 8th on Apple TV and Prime. And while you're on Apple TV, after you watch it after the 100th time, then go watch Swagger, which is also on Apple TV. My whole Swagger, but do that too, right? But
All
yeah,
right.
whatever God has, what's coming up next is wonderful, great things, and is what God has planned.
I love that. And Mila,
Yes.
anything in the works or anything that you can share or care to share?
Sure. So what I care to share is, in case you don't make it over to my social media, because you could click the link in my bio and see it there. But in case you don't make it over there, I do have a book that I put out in my son's
Okay.
honor called Zach's Favorite Socks. It is on
Yes.
barnesandnobles.com. It's on amazon.com. Zach's Favorite Socks. Um, and I also have music, like I said. If you click the link on my IG, I just released an Afrobeat song called All Eyes on
Oh,
Me. Just I wanted to
So high.
experiment in that world. Yes, and that
Mm-hmm.
okay.
actually is one of my faves right now. It's called All Eyes on Me. Of
Okay.
course, 702 has things going on because we're celebrating 30 years this year. We have lots of things that I'm not ready to quite mention yet because some things are in the works, still being developed. But we are most definitely going to celebrate 30 years of 702. So look for us on stage and in the city near you doing some really wonderful special projects. I'm really excited. So yeah, it's like, 702, Meelah, The Strength of Love. I'm blessed right now. I cannot wait for the premiere this Friday, May 8th. And
Mm-hmm.
hopefully you guys will continue to stream the 702 station on your Pandora and whatever you
Okay.
stream
Let's
and listen
get it.
to.
Let's get it.
Streams.
Right.
Well,
Yep.
yes, please tune in. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend about The Strength of Love on May 8th. Okay,
Yes.
guys. And if
Listen.
y'all have Apple TV, go ahead and pre-order it now. You got a few days. Don't even wait. Just pre-order it right now on Apple TV.
Right now.
Yep.
Listen. You
And
got it.
we'll see y'all on the 8th.
Listen, we gonna be tuned in this household, so we definitely gonna
Thank
check it out.
you.
We gonna go out and support,
Thank
ladies and
you.
gentlemen. May you too go out and support. Don't be shy. It's time for us to stand up, and get out here and start making changes in our community. You know how I say each and every week, brick by brick, block by block, town by town, community by community, and state by state. It's how we do it. We got to get back to the essence and to the root of how things were done. And we thank you for our talented guest tonight. And listen, before we go, I just want to ask you all or remind you all, I'll be back next week. But we're going to be, sitting down with Coach Lance Waterman, who's going to be sitting here. He's going to be talking about his book. He's a certified master life coach. And we're going to talk about some 7 toxic, deadly sins and habits that we all have and we're dealing with. So make sure you tune in next week, Tuesday. It's gonna be a change in time though. Next week we'll be at 8 p.m. instead of 7:30. But make sure you come on back and you sit down and rock with us on that. And look, as we close, I have to say, and this would like how sometimes this is you have conversations with people. Hey, exactly. What's happening, bro? Sam, my co-host tonight. I appreciate him, for tuning in. But sometimes you have conversations with people. Like I said, I'm a fan, and you get blessed to be able to sit in this seat sometimes and have conversations with human beings that you get to know them on a different level. And these are 2 amazing individuals that I've had the pleasure to spend this last hour with, and I thank them. And really, more so, talking with them, I get a feel even more from what I've seen, but they are what makes the strength of love more than just a film. I
Ooh.
feel like it's a reflection that we're not really prepared to deal with, but we're going to have to. I feel like it's a reflection of the choices that we make. Um, Also, is the people that we hold on to and the moments that uh, define whether we walk away or we fight to stay. I believe that these two individuals and the rest of the cast and the production team are going to provide us with a real powerful performance. A story that feels like it's rooted in truth, and a message that's going to stick with us, long after the credits. And I feel like, ladies and gentlemen, this is one you just don't want to watch. I think you want to feel. So
Wow.
tune in May 8th, Apple TV, Amazon Prime. And if you already know what real love looks like, or you're still trying to figure it out, this story's for you. I'm Damon Cunningham, and like we do at the end of each and every show, I want to leave you all with a couple of things. May you all stay safe, stay blessed. Mike's out. And hey, don't go anywhere, guys. 007.
Hey,
Hi.
I'm
Yep.
okay.
I
She heard you.
yep.
Yep.
I didn't